Chairman, Vice Chairman Todd is ill this evening and will not be joining us. Commissioner Johnson had a conflict. He will not be here either. I have not heard from Commissioner Gershner. I do understand there's some type of a traffic tie-up on the freeway, which he may be caught in, but I haven't heard from him.
Okay.
We do have a quorum, however.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the January minutes, or is that February minutes? February minutes. Y'all got a copy of it? Were there any additions or corrections?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion
Second.
to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? All right. I'm going to open up, we don't have any non-agenda items for public comment, so we'll open up public hearing portion. No old business, new business. Mr. Neri, if you will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on the agenda is a proposed amendment to zoning code, specifically section 94-413. This is in regard to prohibited uses in our industrial district. This proposed ordinance amendment was primarily the handiwork of our mayor and Mr. City Attorney, so I'm going to defer to Mr. City Attorney tonight to get into the specifics of this.
Mr. City Attorney, do you have any comments?
Just that the goal of this restriction would prohibit the storage of, we already prohibited the refining and storage of petroleum. This adds ethanol and other substances when those substances are stored in a manner or amount that adversely affects the health and safety in the surrounding area. The goal was to go not only with ethanol, but to try and proactively address whatever the next ethanol is, or whatever the next thing that we didn't specifically consider the substance. This will provide us a way to do that. The language there was taken almost directly from a few sections before where it was listed in the intent of that section.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions of City Attorney?
Yeah, Gershner had a suggestion at the subcommittee meeting. Do you recall what that was? Or did you talk to him later about?
We did not talk later, and I recall I think he had several suggestions. I remember one, but I don't remember what that was.
But there would be time before this is passed on to the City Council to
Okay.
incorporate that in.
Okay.
Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I'd entertain a motion. This is a recommendation.
This is a recommendation to our City Council.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to move this on to the City Council as a recommendation of the City Council for Maumelle City Code, Section 94-413.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Next item, Mr. Neri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I can understand why Commissioner Gershner forgot to tell me he wouldn't be attending this meeting. I just received a text from him, and he just recently welcomed his daughter into the world. So he will not be with us this evening.
That's works.
And he ends by saying, he ends his text by saying, I have my hands full. So the next item on the agenda is the proposed preliminary plat for Lot 3, the Villa at River Point Drive addition. I'm sure you all remember this. It's the proposed recreation area for the Villas at River Point multifamily development of Mr. Blake Jackson, who is in the audience this evening, as is Holloway staff who represent him. After 2 staff reviews, there are no outstanding staff comments with the exception of a response from Mr. Ramon to the engineering calculations that I saw sent to him from Mr. David White. Staff is going to recommend for a contingent approval.
Wasn't there also a comment from Fire Marshal?
He had no problem with it whatsoever.
Thought he had the recommendation for the pad to be able to support 75,000 pounds.
And that has been done.
That's done? Okay, all right.
or agreed to, I should say.
Agreed Any questions of the commissioners, of staff? Any questions of the applicant? If there are no questions, I'd entertain a motion on the preliminary plat.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion on the preliminary plat to be accepted pending planning director comments or any commissioner comments.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second. All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? My motion carries. Mr. Neri?
Thank you, Mr.
Development
Chairman.
plan.
This is the development plan for the same addition to the Villa at River Point. This will be a recommendation to the city council. After two staff reviews, the only outstanding comment at this point is a response from Mr. Rahman. Staff is going to recommend for a do-pass recommendation to the Maumelle City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Neri. Commissioners, any questions of staff? Any questions of the applicant? There are no questions. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve with a recommendation to the city council for the preliminary development plan.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussions on that? All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Did you get a second?
I didn't get a second.
Did you get a second?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All right. All those opposed? That passes. Mr. Neri, lot split for lots 1 and 2, Commerce Center addition.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In effect, this is a replat. However, in this case, we're taking one lot and further subdividing it and making two, which means it's something that cannot be done strictly at staff level. It has to be approved by you, the Planning Commission. After two staff reviews, there are no outstanding comments. I believe in speaking with the head of the project team, Mr. Brian Dale, that in fact this could be in time a physical therapy clinic. If that were to be the case, I went over and counted the parking spaces on site. There are 25 existing. If it were a physical therapy clinic for the size of that building, they need 21. So that would be within bounds.
Okay, 25 for which lot?
25 for where the defunct Elite Fitness Center is, not the cleaners.
25 there?
25, that does not include what Schickles Cleaners has.
A lot more than going there.
It somewhat surprised me.
Okay.
Question.
All right, commissioners, questions of staff? Mr. Green?
We talked about, should this ever become a restaurant, would more spaces be needed?
Very possibly.
So they would have to come back to us for a conditional use.
They might not be able to come back to you if they couldn't get the necessary parking, unless they ask you for a variance.
But they would have to come back through.
They would have to for a variance, which staff can't grant.
And that would apply to anything that required a heavy parking
That's correct.
via the code.
That's correct.
So Morley checks that before he issues a building permit?
No, Mr. Morley generally flags them to me,
Okay.
if there's any question.
Any other questions? Any questions of the applicant? Hearing no questions, I'd entertain a motion.
Does this go on to the city council?
It does not. This stays with the commission.
I make a motion, we approve the lot split, lots 1 and 2 at Commerce Center application pending any staff or commissioner comments.
Second?
Sir, and I do have a second. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes the items on the agenda, so we'll close the public hearing, and we'll move straight liaison reports. Now, you all are welcome to stay, but the rest of this gets a little boring, so thanks for coming. All right, the first city council liaison was mine. That goes all the way back to March 6th. On that, we had the third reading and passing of the sign ordinance. And Caleb, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was pretty much a rewrite of that whole ordinance, wasn't it?
I'm sorry, the
Sign ordinance? Pretty much a rewrite?
A rewrite of part of it. The task force is meeting again to continue with that.
Okay, all right. But that moved on. The next two items were amending the land use and the zoning. This was going from from commercial to SUR, and that's on Woodland Drive, that's West Rolling Oaks Park Complex. Third reading and passage of the acceptance and dedication of certain streets. This was out at Natural Trails Estates. That's Dr. Haas's development. Next one was a third reading and passing of the confirming and dedicating the streets, and it's over here at the Maumelle Public Library. In the new business, we had the first readings of amending the master land use and the master zoning maps, both of which were for Natural Trails Estates, and again, that's Dr. Haas's development. Had the first reading of of both the master land and master zoning map for the villages at River Point. That was all that took place on that date. Commissioner Gershon's not here. Commissioner Ramsey said he didn't attend. Commissioner Todd is not here. So that brings us down to liaison for May, Commissioner Johnson, and on the 1st and on the 15th, Commissioner Green. Is there anything else to come before the Planning Commission? If there's nothing else to come before the Planning Commission, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor, yes?
Yes.
Opposed? Adrian, you got 15 minutes to make it.
Oh, I'll be there in plenty of time. Man, they ain't gonna start eating till 7, so. That's part I'm interested in.
Gotta have your priorities.
Yeah, but you're looking good.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Making the rest of us look
yeah,
real
it's-
bad.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep up with